I'm trying this again. I've been trying for quite a while to get this word out. I feel like I've come up with some things that are remarkable and things that are helping me to really understand better. I know I've been all over the place. I've been struggling with a lot, just like everyone. Learning to deal with all the sun and that, and I keep up with that. And um, my dad died a couple days ago, I guess almost a week ago now, and I didn't think that would bother me, but grief has its way of creeping up on us. And I've been struggling with my relationship with David because it's no one's fault. It's just that we're very different people now that we're older, and I'm always coloring outside the lines, and he likes squares. And so, when you have children or grandchildren or careers, that you're focused on that. But then when you retire or get older and have to face yourself and realize that this is the only chance you get, it's important that we're each true to ourselves, and that's where we're at. I want to understand everything about this world and this life, and I want to talk about it, and he doesn't. He wants to watch game shows and relax and have fun, and we just aren't able to respect each other at this point because we're inhibiting each other's freedom. And it's very sad, but so it's kind of been a sad time, but I know it's the right thing. And nothing is forever, and who knows what tomorrow is, but for now, I've got to pursue what I believe is right. And I've always felt a call on my life, always, for humanity. And if you know anything about Aquarians, that's what they're all about. I'm so true to an Aquarian personality. It's like you could have just looked at me and written that. And then, I found out about a Hakoda empath, which is a person that feels everything. And that's why I self-medicated over the years, trying to deal with a lot of stuff, until I ended up going to Amen Clinic after I uncovered a lot of unfortunate information, which is what I'm trying to get to. And I was in a deep depression because I uncovered things that totally destroyed my foundation of faith in the Bible, and as I saw it in the past as a Christian, and destroyed my faith in the New Testament and in history and in this country. And the more I uncovered, I'm a good uncoverer. I'm a good detective. I always have been. Because I ask a lot of questions, and I'm curious, and I'm determined as all get out. I just don't quit. Anybody who knows me knows I don't quit. I'm relentless. It's in my nature, which is a whole nother topic that I uncovered. But at any rate, I want to stay on track. Through my life, I know that I've been used by. I've been in the right place at the right time for the right reason. Lots. I don't believe in coincidences. And so one of my first challenges was to say, okay, if the Bible is not what I thought and there was no Jesus, then there's a God, a big God that loves me. Does he love me? How do I know? Because of nature? Well, I love nature, and it's a miracle, and it's a miracle. It's perfect with the camouflage and the seasons it's perfect. It works perfectly together, like we're supposed to. So there's that. Nature changes me like that. All I have to do is go out, put my feet in some wildflowers, and I'm well, no matter what's going on. And so what was this spiritual leadership or guidance or intuition? It was more than intuition, because other people played roles, right? So somebody had to connect all this. But at the same time, I knew in black and white that it wasn't as I thought. And that's a whole different story. I can't go there. We'll be here forever. So, where am I? So I had to figure that out. And then I came across, let's see. I don't know where it was. Well, I came across Doug Vought's work. First, I came across Randall Carlson and sacred geometry, because I loved rocks and fossils and was trying to find stuff. I have a great collection, and I love nature. So I was trying to learn about rocks and caves and all that. And I found Randall, and I took that class on sacred geometry, and it blew my mind. And I went, shoo, something's wild. Something's perfect. Something's too perfect, almost. It was too designed, there's nothing wrong or missing. And at the same time, I was talking to a Hasidic Jewish friend of mine that's very wise, that was feeding me information that was really helpful, because I always respected the Jewish people more than anything. Their families were tight. They respected each other. They loved God. They stuck together. They were loyal. I just liked the whole thing, and I loved Queen Esther's story. So I thought maybe that's where it is. So I started studying Hebrew, and then the Hebrew, I found out wasn't it, that it was Assyrian that I wanted to learn. I was trying to get to the bottom first. I wanted to see the original, the beginning, the first letters. I wanted to go back and then figure it out for myself. I didn't want to buy anybody's opinion about anything. Just give me the original. Man, that was hard to get. So through that, I went through language after language. And when I found myself grieving over my country and my Savior, I also came to not trust the pharmaceutical industry, doing a study on COVID and the vaccines, blah, blah, blah. So I said, I'm not ever taking a drug. I'll never be dependent on one that they prescribe. And so I kicked 200 milligrams a day of antidepressants, which weren't doing a thing for me except I hadn't cried in 20 years. So, excuse all the so's. I've just got to get this out. So I went into this deep depression. And the only thing I could do to help myself, David didn't. Who does know what to do with a depressed person? Who knows? It's tough. And I was so depressed I couldn't move. Everything at once. And my mom had died suddenly, and it was just all hit me. So I went to Amen Clinic. I've been following Dr. Amen since the 70s, late 70s, because he did brain scans. I always thought if I could just get a brain scan, I would have known how to help my first husband, my son's father, my son, me, my family, my father. Every member of my family has struggled with ADD or bipolar, or the thing is, when it comes to mental issues, it's all subjective. Unless you get a definitive diagnosis, which the only one really is a brain scan. And when he started them, they were called SPECT scans, and they were like $30,000 a piece or something out in California. Well, lo and behold, when I got the energy to get myself up and look for help, I mean, I was crawling. I called them. They had a place in Atlanta. It was only $5,000. So I went, thank you, but kind of no thank you. Because when I got the diagnosis, I figured they would tell me I was depressed, and maybe it was genetic. And because I had drank too much and had to go through all that, and so I knew I had inherited some issues, even after going through my husband taking his life from addiction. Who would think I would? But so I've had overcome a lot out of pure determination and learning and changing my paradigm. But where was I? It's so much, 70 years trying to get off. Okay, well, helping people, and I didn't want to be on drugs. So the psychiatrist that I worked with, the diagnosis was PTSD, post-traumatic stress, attention deficit, acute anxiety, and major depressive disorder. If I hadn't been depressed before, I sure was then. And I just kept walking, taking pictures, and eating better, and I quit sugar and did everything I could do to help myself and got well, step by step. And as I did, I learned. I just dug myself in and tried to learn everything I could about the world around me and how to help myself and how to heal, because I could see the writing on the wall with the government that we can't be dependent on them, not for anything. We've got to get self-dependent. And that's why I'm doing this. Back to the point. So, I knew what had worked in my life after 70 years and what hadn't. And the biggest help to me, coming from a totally non-structured environment, my mom was 13 when she got pregnant with me and then had 7 kids in a row. And so we had no structure. We had love, but no structure. So when I found 7 Habits, I went berserk. Oh, I ate it up, and it changed my life. I had gotten as far as I could go, which was higher than most people my age, by sheer working harder, working longer, and not giving up. And I focused on finding organizations that were broken. I knew how to fix broken. So, and we fixed each other. And that was key. I wouldn't quit. So the 7 Habits was incredible. There was something supernatural about it. I don't know why. Stephen Covey was a Mormon and was just one of the greatest characters, the finest men in character that one of the top, definitely the top 5 in my book. And he talked about his son, Stephen, and how Stephen seemed to be behind in everything. In ball, he had a bunch of kids. They all excelled in everything, but not Stephen. He was like the nerd of the group, and everybody laughed at him playing ball, etc., etc. And one day Stephen woke up and begging God to show him how to help him. And he realized that his paradigm of his son was affecting everyone. And that until he could begin to see his son the way he expected God to have made him, complete, whole, flourishing, in perfect timing, until he could see that, he couldn't have it. And he and his wife determined to change the way they saw things. And it changed their son. It changes people when we have high enough regard for them, that we have high expectations. It says that I know you can. I know you will. And it's what nurturing is all about. When someone tells me I've done well, I just want to do better. Don't you? But we've got to see it first. So how do we do that? That's what this is about. How and why and where and when and who and all that stuff. What occurred to me in my research as I went back and back, because when you get back into the ancient literature, after going through the ancient languages, I missed a part. The psychiatrist suggested I do ketamine treatments for the depression, and I did. And I had like 7 years of therapy in 1 hour. It worked for me. I healed from so many things, and I was a new person when I got out of there. I had 10, I think, sessions. The first 2 to 3 were great. The rest made me sick. And I don't think the girl was too well experienced in what she was doing and maybe overdosed me. But yeah, it's not well defined yet. But it helped me, and what was cool about it was that in that session I saw Sumeria. I'd never heard of it. I was right on the cusp of finding it in my studies of the world and history. And I just found out that there were different earth ages and that the world is cyclical and all that. So, one thing led to another. At the same time, I was studying ancestry. See, I do have ADD, but I hyper-focus on one thing, then I get sick of it. I hyper-focus on another, and that's why I put all this together, is because I love the fossils and the geology and the geometry and the spiritual part and the science part. I like it all. And that's why I could find it. So, okay, so I had that in my background about 7 habits and starting to do that again because it was so effective. When that happened, I found the Gateway Method when I was looking into United States history of the CIA and found the Gateway Method and how they were right on the cutting edge, like what Tesla was on the edge of a cult. They call it a cult. I don't know if you would say it. It's just what history is. It's not a cult. It's what's there. It's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's what happened or what there's evidence to show happened. Because we don't know. Things have been so changed. Crazy. Just learning when you go back to study history that the name of the city might have changed 4 times. So if you're looking for an ancient city, who the heck knows? And then in Rome, if you won the battle or whatever, you were emperor, you changed the calendar to suit yourself. So going back and calculating the chronology of our actual history is like, eek. But Randall Carlson figured it out through the Mayan calendar. I don't know if that wasn't the first one, but the Jewish people knew about it. They were just off a little bit because the Sumerian calendar used, I think, 60 instead of 10, instead of the decimal system for the calendar. And so whoever calculated it missed that point and threw it off, I think, 47 years or something. So Doug Vaught also came up with it. And when I was looking for info, I found him and I wrote him to take him to lunch because he lived locally, which was a fluke. Lo and behold, he said yes. Well, I read all his books and watched all his shows and stuff. So I knew it was a hard read for me, and I'd never had like physics or anything like that. So I had to learn quick, and I figured out. I knew I was pretty smart because like I do lumosity and brain tests, and I always was in 99 percentile in everything except for spatial, knowing where you are. I never know where I am. But and also, you know, on boards and things over the years, I always knew the answers. even though I wouldn't speak up because I didn't have the confidence, I always knew the answer first. So, because I like puzzles, that's why. And that's why I was a good investigator. And those mind games said that the best job for me was a researcher. How about that? After I'm 70, I find that out. But really, when I look back at my successes, I see that I was successful because I dug in and researched to get answers and to fix things. I'm always trying to fix something, including everybody, but it's not because I don't think you're okay. It's just because I think we can always be better. And if I learn something that helps me and I teach it, then it's called three-person teaching, where I read it, I think it, I study it to give it to you, I share it, and then you get it, and then it's like marketing. You just keep saying it and saying it. Some of it sticks, right? So I had the part of Sumeria. I had the part of languages going back to cuneiform. I found the Epic of Gilgamesh and all the 16 saviors, which I'd already kind of glimpsed into that when figuring out the Bible hoax. And so Doug put it together when he figured the Piso family deal, where they used the Bible really to manipulate humanity. How nice to have people be sheep that don't fight the enemy but turn the other cheek, and to forgive 70 times 7 the evil. And we're taught to say God's all wonderful and beautiful and loves us all. And yet, how can you pray for one team to win and not the other? How can you think hurricanes and tornadoes are wildflowers and palm trees? It's all God. It's all the creator or the programmer. I think that's where we're at. Well, I got this far in 27 minutes, and I didn't even light on the best part of all. But I'm going to keep going, so hang in there. Let me know if this is making sense or if it's interesting or whatever. I just feel like I'm here to share something, and I'm just going to keep sharing until I figure out that it's a benefit to somebody. And I'll try and listen and hear. The black guy I met today was so cool. He said there's a big difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is being still. Listening is active. That's food for thought. Thanks for hanging in if you did.